Oh, hey everyone, and welcome back once again to the channel. Now, it wasn't that long ago that I reviewed another Baltic watch, the Prismic, a very special watch actually. They only made 600 of them with 3 incredible dials, made or designed to raise awareness of the 3 watch viewing studios that Baltic has in Paris, London and New York. And they were selling those watches for roughly €1,300. They made 600. They were only ever going to make 600. That is it. And they sold out in under 5 minutes. That's impressive, isn't it? And I felt very privileged actually to be sent one of those watches to review for you guys. But the point I'm going to make is quite often reviewers get asked to review new releases, watches that are about to be released, the watches that the brands, well, they want us to review. And sometimes I see watches on websites that I'd actually like to get my hands on to review, not just for you guys, but also for myself. And Baltic do have a dive watch that I've been eyeing up for quite some time. So after I posted my review of the Prismic, I did reach out to them and say, that was incredible. Thank you for letting me review this watch, but don't suppose you fancy sending me one of these? And they said, absolutely, not a problem. We've got these in stock still. If you want to review one of these, we'll get one in the post. And yeah, within a couple of days, it was here. I've said this before many, many times, I love a white dialed black bezel insert diver. There's something about a dive watch with a white dial and a black bezel insert that, to me anyway, is really appealing. And so I was thrilled to be given the opportunity to review, I'm not going to call it a grail watch, but yeah, a watch that I've had my eye on for a little while. So, well, I'm going to really enjoy this one. Now, one thing I didn't realise was that the dial, it's almost a sort of diamond dust dial. You know those vintage Seiko Grand Quartz watches that Seiko made in the 70s that are really, really hard to come by. They've got these gorgeous sort of shimmery, bumpy dials. They're nicknamed Diamond Dust. Well, this has a similar sort of effect. Yeah, it's very fine. Not that obvious, but it's there. And you can see it with the naked eye. I like it, actually. I really, really do like it. And the hands, super glossy, like the bezel inserts, very reflective. Adds a different dimension to otherwise a fairly sort of traditional vintage inspired looking dive watch. Now, one thing I'm really, really pleased about is, although this watch has a sort of vintage look to it, they haven't gone down the route of discolouring the lume, which, you know, I don't mind on some watches, but I like the fact on this watch, the lume and all the print seems still very crisp, very bright. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good decision. And actually, it's probably one of the reasons why I kept going back to look at this watch and why I really like the white dial black bezel insert version. I think if they had coloured or distressed in a way the lume and all the prints, it would have taken something away from the look of the watch. So I think perhaps without us really realising it, that is one of the reasons why this watch looks as good as it does. And I think it suits the strap that they've sent it on. This watch is available in a number of different colours and with a few different strap options. You're going to pay a little bit more for this watch on a stainless steel bracelet, but I think it suits this rubber strap. It actually looks good on this strap. And the specifications throughout are impressive. Miyota 9039, so no ghost position on the crown. There's no data complication on the dial. If you're not familiar with that movement, 28,800 beats per hour. That's an automatic movement, of course. Hacks, hand winds, really, really nice movement. And I think they've priced it fantastically well, actually. A watch from this brand. This is, I consider Baltic a premium. Well, I actually questioned whether or not we should be calling them a micro brand in my previous video, and I was just about to call them a micro brand. I don't think they are anymore, really, are they? One of the reasons why you're going to pay a bit of a premium for their watches is because they've now elevated themselves, I think, beyond micro brand status. I wouldn't say they're a high street brand, but they are a big brand now. In terms of the usual sort of brands that you see on channels like this, yeah, I was actually surprised to see the watch on their website for €580, which equates to, I think they give you the conversion. Hang on. Yeah, they do. There it is. 490 British pounds. I'll put some other exchange rates on the screen for you. Yeah, I was surprised to see it for that sort of price. A watch from this brand with this movement, yeah, I thought it would be more. With the stainless steel bracelet, of course, it's going to cost a little bit more. But yeah, the price was a bit of a surprise. Sapphire crystal, as you would expect. 316L stainless steel. Very nice bezel action. 120 click unidirectional bezel action. 200 meters of water resistance, screw down crown, screw down case back, 2 different types of finishing on the case back, some specifications and a design on the case back as well, which has been very, very nicely done. Sapphire bezel insert as well. So you've got double domed box sapphire crystal covering the dial, and then you've got a piece of sapphire in the bezel. I understand why brands use sapphire crystal. I think it's seen as a bit of a premium over ceramics, certainly over aluminium. I do think it aids the appearance of that sort of vintage aesthetic. For me, though, it impacts the strength of any sort of lume that you have underneath the sapphire, because the lume is essentially being covered by a piece of crystal, and you get a sort of depth to sapphire bezel inserts that you don't get with ceramic. I'm probably one that prefers the ceramic, or the look of the ceramic bezel inserts. So I understand why they've used it. I do understand why some people prefer it. Me personally, though, I think I just prefer ceramic. But yeah, it suits the watch, and the bezel alignment is bang on. Now, I've not really spoken about this strap, have I? Yeah, the buckle is nice enough. It's fairly simple, polished. That's actually an interesting choice, isn't it? There's no polishing at all on the case. A little bit on the case back. Maybe that should have been brushed. It's a fairly minor thing. It's signed. The strap feels nice. It's a rubber strap. I don't think it's FKM. It doesn't feel sticky like silicone. Yeah, it feels like a quality strap. And on my wrist, it looks like $1 million. Yeah, I like the look of it. I like the distortion with the crystal. The sapphire bezel insert doesn't really impact my enjoyment of the look of this watch. I really like the outside of the bezel, actually, the way they've done that. You've got a sort of coin edge, and then underneath that you've got a polished reflective finish, which you're not really going to see day to day, but I still really, really like it. Drilled lugs as well, and the dimensions are very good. It's a pretty watch, and with it housing a Miyota 9000 series movement, it's not overly thick, is it? Beautifully finished crown as well. Look at that. Yeah, that's nicely done. So, yeah, there's a lot to like about this watch. I can see why there have been 990 reviews of it. They've clearly sold a lot of watches, and the reviews all seem to be, or most of them seem to be, very, very positive. And yeah, it's a popular one, I think, and I can understand why now that I've got it in and reviewed it. Yep, I have to doff my cap once again to Baltic. It's fast becoming one of my favourite watch brands, you know. I just love their honesty. I've said that before. They tell you where their stuff's made online. You don't see that very often, you know. A lot of people will tell you where their straps are made, where the movements come from, where the watches are assembled, but they won't tell you where stuff's made. Baltic do. Respect.